What's up, y'all? BBQ Dropout here. So if you're wondering kind of like how can you tell whether or not your brisket's like undercooked or overcooked or just right, specifically whether or not it's undercooked, just know that if you happen to have an undercooked brisket, it's more than likely the fact that it's too dry and it's too tough to even slice into or to try to even eat. Not to mention, I've noticed a lot of undercooked briskets are actually very chewy in nature as well. So if you have any of those characteristics of it being too dry, tough, or chewy, or all the above, then you more than likely had an undercooked brisket. And one of the reasons why you had an undercooked brisket is because you more than likely did not pull it off at the right temperature, let alone let it rest properly. So for those of you that don't know, a lot of briskets are usually done at around, or start to be done at around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and between that and 205 degrees Fahrenheit. So right at around 205 degrees Fahrenheit is kind of like when the collagen and the connective tissues within the meat actually begin to like render down and everything. So if you happen to pull it before that point in time, then all the connective tissues and whatnot haven't really had a chance to kind of break down and render down properly. So that's more than likely why you have an undercooked brisket and kind of how you can sort of tell. So just going forward, make sure to have, obviously an accurate thermometer probe and whatnot, and only pull the brisket once it temps out at least 200 degrees Fahrenheit in internal temperature. And a good way to even test specifically for your individual brisket whether or not it's done is if you can take like a toothpick, for example, and start inserting it and sliding it in and out of the meat at will and have no resistance whatsoever, then that can basically indicate to you, the pit master or the brisket pit master at this point, kind of that the brisket will be not only not undercooked, not overcooked, but just right. And then once you pull it at 200 degrees Fahrenheit and once probe's tender with zero resistance whatsoever, you're going to want to let it rest on the counter and unwrap it if you have any kind of wrapping to speak of, and then sort of just like let all the carryover heat, if you're cooking it hot and fast like I do, let all the carryover heat escape the brisket. That way it doesn't overcook it past like 205 or something, because anything past that will overcook the brisket. After that, then just place it inside of like an ice cooler or a warming oven for adequate resting, and we can touch on that in later videos. But if you suspect that your brisket was undercooked, look for the characteristics of it being too chewy, too dry, and too tough. And if it is, then maybe what you could do is throw it back on the smoker, maybe throw it into the oven if you've already kind of have taken everything out of the smoker, and start cooking it again. But I would just kind of bite the bullet on it and learn from your mistakes and do better the next time. So anyways, hope you guys thought that was helpful, and I'll catch you on the next one.